Good afternoon, champions. So, welcome to our today's analysis. So, today we'll be looking at EURGBP. So, we'll be starting it from the monthly time frame. So, this today's analysis is going to play out as the wider forecast of the whole week. So, looking at the pair from the monthly perspective, that is the monthly time frame, you can see that you have got an upward trend. So, you can see that it is a straightforward upward trend. So, you can see that from this side, the market came and touched this particular trend line above here. Then we had a move to the downside where we saw double touches to this particular trend line that is below here, and also we had another rise to the upside. So you can see the market also touched this particular area here. You can see it kind of a shallow touch to the upside, and then we had a move toward the downside to these particular areas. So currently you can see that the markets are at this particular point of consolidation, but then in the wider perspective we are expecting that the markets are going to rise, so we're expecting it to make a touch toward the upside. So I'm expecting a breakout. So I'm still waiting for a breakout out of this consolidation. You can see that the market came to this particular point here. You can see this is a very strong point of. I can see a very strong point of resistance. Looking at this I mean the double touches here, the first touch in these particular areas and also the second touch in these particular areas. You can see that when the market at these particular levels that are here, the point of resistance, we had a move to the downside. You can also see that this is a very strong point of support based on the previous movement. So you can see that here we had a kind of a touch which acted as a point of support. So that's why you see that the market started creating some small consolidation. So we had a move to the downside, a move to the upside, a shallow move to the downside, then a touch to the upside, a move to the downside, a move to the upside. And then you can see that currently you can see that we have got a touch towards the downside. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting that the markets are going to move from this particular point of support. So this time round, what I'm expecting is that from this particular area in which they are in currently, they are going to move toward the upside, come to this particular point of resistance, and then they are going to create just a small move toward the downside to these particular areas of resistance, kind of a pullback, and then I'm expecting it to create a breakout to this particular area. After creating a breakout, since this is a trend line which markets usually tend to respect, so what do I expect? I'm expecting also we are going to have some small move to the downside to this particular point of resistance, which then this time round it will stop acting as a point of resistance and start acting as a point of support before creating a further breakout to the upside that is moving towards this particular trend line that is here. So that is it for the markets when it comes to the monthly time frame. So moving into the weekly time frame, so you can see that in the weekly time frame you have got this particular point of consolidation which has been well explained. So generally we are moving toward the upside, but then as we are moving toward the upside from the monthly time frame, we have seen that we have already touched the trend line that is below. So what we are currently expecting is a move toward the upside. So currently you can see that we have got two regions. So we can see that are split. So this is kind of one region, but then this one region has been split into two, where we have got the upper part and also the lower part. So you can see that when the markets came to this particular point of resistance, that is from below here, this particular point of support, you can see that the market moved to this particular point of support, point of resistance, that is. And then it came down to this particular point of support. Then we had a breakout to the upside. It respected this particular trend line that is here, moved toward the downside to turn this particular point of support. We saw some small consolidation in these particular areas here. And then after this small consolidation, you can see that we had a Y shape, a W shape formation. So whenever you see a W shape formation, that is a clear sign that the markets are preparing to create a breakout to move toward the upside. So we had the second touch to this particular trend line, and then we had some small consolidation on the upper region of the consolidation, that is before we had an M shape. So you can see that M shape that is here. So this M shape was a sign that the markets were creating a breakout toward the downside, a small breakout to the downside, and then we had a move to the upside. So you can see we had another M shape that was here. So you can clearly see this M shape, a clear move that the markets were breaking towards the downside. And you can see that after creating a breakout to the downside, you can see that it came to a small kind of point of support here before further moving towards the upside, that is the resistance point that is up above here. So, and you can see that we had other moves. So this is a head and shoulder. So this is the head, the first shoulder, the second shoulder, a move toward the downside to touch this particular area that are here. Double touches to this particular point of support, a move towards the upside. And then we also had a shallow touch to this particular trend line. They were also respecting this particular trend line, preventing themselves from moving above it. And then we had so one thing that you have to notice about the euro gbp is that most of the time it has got a lot of consolidation, but then this consolidation, they create an opportunity for you to take the advantage of the market in small moves. So what I can advise you is that when you are trading with EURGBP, you need to go small, but then you need to go in with big lot sizes so that you can be able to capitalize in every move that is being made. So attached to this particular point of support, we are having a move towards the upside, and then you can see that there is this pyramid formation. A pyramid formation, you can see you have got head shoulders in these particular areas here. So this is the head. So you can see the head in this particular area. Then you can see that we have got the shoulders. A move toward the downside, breaking all. So it broke the first point of support, the second point of support, moving further toward the downside. And then you can see that because it had already tagged this particular point of resistance, it was a clear sign that it was supposed to touch this particular point of support that was below here. So that was the main target of the market. And finally, it was able to, after touching this particular point of resistance, this time round, it was just a small pullback to gain momentum before moving further towards the downside. And you can see that it clearly touched this particular areas that are here. So what am I currently expecting? I'm expecting that the markets are going to move from these particular areas that are here after touching this particular point of support. Remember, generally we are expecting that the markets are supposed to move towards the upside. So what am I? I'm currently expecting that the markets are going to move to this particular point of support before creating some pullbacks to this particular point of support, and then breaking above this particular point of resistance and further moving toward this particular level. So that is in a small scale, but in the large scale, I'm expecting that the markets are going to move further towards the upside. But then the further movement will not be made until the markets are, after coming to these particular areas that are here, the markets will tend to first of all come to these particular areas here for kind of a retest to these particular areas, or kind of retracement to these particular areas before further moving toward the upside, mainly to create momentum for the pair. So moving towards the daily time frame. So you can see in the daily time frame, you can see the clear pattern of the market moving towards the downside. So you can see that you have got this downward movement in the daily time frame. So you can see that we had our first touch. So our first touch was in this area. Then we had another touch to these particular areas that are here, in the trend, below this particular trend line. Then we had a move toward the downside. We had several touches towards this particular trend line, and then we had a move towards the downside. Several consolidation as the markets were moving towards the downside. But then when you see this particular point of consolidation, when you are in a higher time frame, when it comes to lower time frame like the hourly time frame and also the minute time frame, it gives you an advantage. So you can see that this is kind of downward movement which you could capitalize, especially when you are trading in the minute time frame and also in the 1 hour time frame. So you can see that we had this most small consolidation, but then a very good trend that was moving towards the downside. We had a touch, still respecting this particular trend line. So when you see this particular trend line that is above here, you can clearly predict that the markets will surely move toward the downside. So we had that downward movement, and then we had this a small retracement toward the upside. The market gained momentum and was able to break below. So previously, the market were respecting this particular trend line that is here. So you can see after gaining momentum, after some small pullbacks, the market were able to move toward this particular area. We had this nice pattern that was kind of a false confirmation for others who were not able to see. But then later on, when the market tagged this particular trend line that is above here, we had a clear drop down towards a drop down that came to this particular point of support, breaking below this particular point of trend line. And then after we came to this particular point of support, the market moved toward the upside, coming to this particular point of resistance. So this is a very strong point of resistance, characterized by the previous movement of this particular pattern. So you can see that in these first areas we had this particular point of resistance. In this area we have the same point of resistance, and also in these particular areas also we had this point of resistance. And previously, before this point of resistance started behaving that way, you can see that in the previous movement, this particular region was a point of support. So you can see that it acted as a point of support in this first area, the second area. Then when it came to the third area, it started acting as a point of resistance. So that's why you can see that we have got a point of a very strong point of resistance in that area. So a move towards the upside, a move towards the downside, M-shaped formation, or one can say the the double triangle, a move towards the downside. So you can see we had movement toward the downside. Then you can see that we have got several touches toward the downside of this particular trend line, which was also characterized by a move toward the upside. So you can see that in our lower time frame, we are going to see on how we are going to get the right patterns that are going to give us the right result. So coming to the hourly time frame, so in the hourly time frame, that is when you can see particular patterns that are going to help you, especially when it comes to capitalizing on the market. So you can see so we had this kind of consolidation here before market started gaining momentum in moving toward the upside and creating an upward trend. But you can see that in these areas, the market, this was a kind of a small consolidation that was here before the market started moving below. And so you can see that after that small consolidation, we had a break below this particular point of consolidation in this area. So when it first of all it broke below, so you can clearly see that this is a very strong point of support. But then when it broke below, so you can see that it moved from this particular area to this particular area here, and then you can see that this particular point was below this particular point of support. So it was kind of gaining momentum to move toward the upside. That's why you can see that after moving below this particular point of support, that is, it moved toward the upside, came to this particular region of resistance, and then we had some small pullbacks to gain momentum. Then we had a break above this particular point of resistance, and coming to the second point of resistance, or the second point of a region of resistance, that is. But you can see that in this second touch that we are having in this region of resistance, it acted as a second touch. So we had our first touch here, our second touch here, started creating momentum because this was kind of a lower high. Then we have a lower low here. Then you can see another a creation of a higher high that is high below the previous high that was here, kind of creating a sign that this was obviously an upward movement. Then after a touch to this particular trend line, it went below, lower than the previous point of this point here that was below this particular point of support that was here, came and tagged and made several touches. So you can see these several touches that are here, creating a sign. So this is, you can see this is a lower high, this is also a lower high, and then you've got a higher high that is here. This is a clear pattern that we are having an upward trend. So you can see this first touch, and then we had this second touch here, a move toward the upside. So you can see that there was creation of another high that was previous than the previous high that was here, creating kind of a sure analysis that the markets are creating an upward movement. Then we had some small consolidation in this area before the markets creating a downward movement. So you can see this downward movement. So what I'm expecting currently, I'm expecting that the markets are going to move. I'm expecting that the markets are going to move from this particular region that is here. So let us go to the 1 hour time frame. So looking at the market from the 1 hour time frame, what I'm currently expecting is that the market are going to move from this particular region that is here. They are going to move above this area, then they will come again for a retest to these particular areas that are here. So you can see they are going to respect this particular point of resistance that is here, and then they are going to move above up to this particular region. We may also experience some small pullbacks to this particular point of support that previously acted as a point of resistance, and then you're going to have further touches towards the upside that will at the end of the day touch this particular trend line that is here. So that is all that I had for you for today. So I think this is going to act as our weekly focus for the whole week. So looking at this week for the Euro GBP, we are looking forward for more highs to be formed. That is, so we are looking for more opportunities to buy rather than selling. So that is all that I had for you this afternoon. My prayer is only one, that may the peeps always be with you.